So we've been studying this recent episode when there was a surge in inflation in almost all of the major countries in the world, actually. And we think, as part of this research project, that it came from basically a COVID-related emergency situation where most countries had a very big increase in expenditure by the government. And it was kind of similar to what you would have if you had a wartime environment and a lot of sudden extra expenditure from that. So it's basically an emergency increase in spending. So we think that most central banks around the world, including in Latin America, finance this mostly by effectively having inflation. That was a way of effectively paying for the added government spending. And when you had this big surge in inflation, it reduced the real value of the public debt that was outstanding. And that was like a way of essentially getting revenue, not from the usual way of taxation or from cutting other expenditure, but rather through this mechanism. So we think it was parallel to what governments typically do during wartime, where they print a lot of money, creating inflation, and it has a similar kind of effect. So a tricky question is is this a good policy or a bad policy? So it's attractive because it provides a very efficient way of paying for this surge in emergency government spending. A danger from this is that people might be concerned that the government will do this all the time and have this inflation, and then it'll be difficult to maintain the kind of price stability that many countries and central banks have achieved in the last decades, including in Latin America. So if you can limit this kind of emergency response to true emergencies, it can be effective. But if you get tempted to do this regularly, it's going to lead to a collapse of the inflation stability that was so difficult to win. So that's the trade-off, and I'm not saying I know all the answers as to what's exactly the right way to do this, but that's the way we've been thinking about it. And empirically, this approach has a lot of explanatory power in terms of the inflation that actually occurred and which countries had more or less inflation in this period, particularly between 2020 2023, which is what we focused on.